Good evening. This is Cece here with Going Solo, Life After Divorce, and I have with me.
EZE as always. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, and tonight I want to give you our call-in number straight away. It's 813-235-0644. I want to make sure I don't forget that because sometimes I get excited and I do. So it's 813-235-0644 if you want to join in on the conversation. I also want to thank Talkwad Network for putting us on the show tonight. I mean, they're absolutely fabulous with all the ongoing support that they do, and they have wonderful, wonderful shows here in the network itself. But we are on liveandloveradio.com, and it is a super, super network of great individuals. So if you, get a chance, check out some of the other shows and listen in because I think you'll be very, very happy and very pleased with what you have to listen to. So tonight, EZE on Going Solo, Life After Divorce, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a dedication show.
Right. That's what you had mentioned. And I think it's a good thing to do from time to time.
Yeah, the thing is like, going solo is really about, moving forward. And we're going to dedicate this show to My Friends Connect Divorce Support Social Group. They are the ones that first initially started all of this. They've been in existence since about 2008. The group was started by a close friend of mine, Katie, and she developed and designed the group, and she has moved forward in her life, and we're very grateful for that. But we have about, I think almost 400 members in the group.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and we have people that have moved through, have gotten married, they have children now. Just this last couple weeks, we had a couple more marriages.
Really?
People have
Okay.
moved through and gotten married. So, they have moved on with their life. But, the thing is that there are many, many out there that are still in the trenches and at the beginning of an onset of relationship loss. And so that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. We're going to kind of bring it back and talk a little bit about, how you're feeling at the very beginning of it and what it might help you to be able to move forward and start making that transition into living your best life. So, how about it?
Yeah, I think it's always a good idea to go back to the basics and do a refresher course, if you will, because we do struggle, and even the best advice sometimes we have a tendency to let it go and fall backwards. Like they said, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and I think that's common to all of us. CC, that we do forget what's best, and we do forget how we're trying to strive ahead. And I think it's always good to do a refresher course because all of us out there, we're all the same. We all have the same daily stripes and struggles, and we all, make mistakes and want to do better for ourselves. And sometimes you just need a refresher. Sometimes you need somebody to say, hey, look at yourself. Take another look at things for, a reality check, if you will. That's what they call a reality check.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andrea, who is in our group, she kind of did the phrase of baby steps.
Uh-huh.
And so we call ourselves the D-Land, for divorce land.
Okay, the D-Land.
but the thing is, we have a lot of people there from all different types of relationship loss, and what we have, that are relative, what we can relate to, is the fact that it takes a lot of willpower and a lot of strive and desire, to be able to move forward.
Right.
And so those are some of the things we're going to talk about tonight because, your life is your destiny. It's up to you to choose which path you want it to go. Mm-hmm. And, Peggy Cooper came up with a great a line. It's a divorce path, and so she has that for people that want to take various different courses to be able to help them through, and I highly recommend that. But let's talk about some of the steps, easy, that we can go through when we find ourselves in such devastation of pain, and we want to automatically withdraw.
Right.
And that, what do you think? That's not necessarily the best course of action.
Cece, before we came on the air, and the preface to all of this, I think, is, we were talking about earlier that when we're in pain, we often go into our shelter and we mask our pain to others. We mask how we're really feeling. And I think, with radio shows like this and you're in the privacy of your home, I think it's time to open yourself up and recognize that you're feeling pain, or you're troubled, or you need some help, or you're trying to find some guidance. You have to be honest with yourself. In the privacy of your home, you have to recognize that these things are going on with you. It's all right to mask it to the world out there, but when you get home, you need to seek help, and you need to seek understanding, as opposed to acting like it doesn't exist.
Right. That's probably the very first step, is to really acknowledge where you're at. A lot of times we want to try to sugarcoat it. We try to think, well, tomorrow we'll be feeling better, but the reality is we're really down deep into it. And once we come to terms with the fact that yes, we're struggling, then the next step is to really find a venue, a group of friends, or someplace that you can bond. And this is why the divorce support group is so successful. My Friends Connect Divorce Support Group. It's just amazing, the individuals that are on that group. And we have what we do is we actually pay it forward, we call it, and the ones that have walked the walk, has gone down the path, then turn and help others that are struggling. And we're all at different levels, at different places in our lives. So that's the thing, is you want to go to someone that can bond and relate to you. So like a divorce support group, or a therapist, or someone that specializes in your particular area of what you need is definitely something that you might want to consider.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks like we have a slight mic problem here.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring our.
Yeah,
we've got a couple things that we'd like to have you look at here on the site. But as they're trying to research it and bring that up for you, but the thing is that if you can bond together with someone and really and really let them know how you're feeling, because so often what we don't want to do is we want to we want to hide from it. We want to pretend that it doesn't exist, and that we're in pain, and that we're hurting, and we won't go anywhere if that's what happens to us. So what we want to do is we want to really reach out and talk with people and let them know how we feel. But the kicker there is not just talking. The reality is it's not going to help you if you just talk to somebody. What's going to help you is if you say to yourself, I not only want to talk, but I want to listen.
Right.
And I want to be taught how to move forward in my life. Yeah. Because so often you'll come across someone that's all they do is just talk about their troubles. They talk about this, they talk about that. They're not going anywhere with it, right?
Right.
But the thing is, they haven't made a choice to move forward.
And that's the important point. That really is step one in a lot, whether it be divorce, become a widow, dating and relationships that fail. It's the word letting go, and I kind of have some quotes here that I'll pull up a few that really discuss, what we're talking about. You've got to resign yourself to let some things go, and this is a quote that one of my favorites that I like, that says, we must be willing to let go of the life we've planned so we have the life that is waiting for us, and sometimes we get caught up in especially you're married and you think you're going to live happily ever after, and you have this vision, and it doesn't work out that way, and you spend your time in sorrow, regretting that things aren't the way that you want it. Well, that sorrow isn't going to help you move forward, and maybe the life that's planned for you is better than that life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You have to. Sometimes, if you have all that sorrow that's built up in you, and you don't really know what to do, and you feel like you're down in the dumps, and you just can't seem to get out, what you have to do is stop for a minute and live for today. Right. Live for this very moment.
That's right.
And say to yourself, okay, whatever happened to me, it's happened, and I am where I am, and it is what it is. Right. And now what am I going to do right now to make myself feel better, to move myself forward? And only you can answer some of those questions, If you have to reach out and get other facilities or other people to help you to be able to, put together some things, because, your whole world, if you're going through a relationship loss, and let's just talk about divorce right now, but if you're going through divorce or even a death, you might have to move your home. You may find that your financial situation is totally upside down. you find that you've lost many friends in your life because when you have a relationship loss, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to react to
Right,
you.
right.
So
Yeah.
what they do is they start backing away from you, and then you're
Right.
thinking, oh my gosh, now I really am by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so often in the divorce support group, I hear that from individuals saying, I am all alone. And, at the latter part of our years, sometimes we are all alone.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want to go to our kids and tell our kids what we're having because they still come to us
Yeah,
for
right.
advice,
That's right. That's
you
right.
know? So,
And it's the aura that you represent. I think, just like a positive aura, you attract people to you. And when you're in the doldrums and while you're trying to act happy and upbeat, people feel that aura. They feel your energy is wrong, and that's really why they subconsciously pull away from you, and you're trying to figure out why. Well, it's because they really feel that you're dealing in something that you're not happy about. Your energy really is a big part to things, I think.
right. So if you live in the moment, if you say to you, okay, just this very moment that I'm in, I'm going to try to make it the best moment that I can make it.
Right.
I'm gonna take my energy and I'm gonna turn it into something positive. I'm gonna focus on something that might very well change my life.
Right.
And keep moving forward. How often have you decided that it may not be the best hair day. I mean, I'm a woman, so I can relate to this. So it's not the best hair day, but heck, you just put a hat on and you go out the door.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like things like that. You just. I can tell you a lot of things, uplifting things for women. You put a pair of high heels on and go out the door. But, I don't know, you just have to, yourself and the tricks that you can do to yourself that is going to pull you out of some sort of sadness that you might very well be in. Mm-hmm. So do them, use them, and go for it.
Yep.
Because it is up to you to change your mindset, Yep.
Here's another quote that I found that I think is very pertinent, and it says, inner peace can only be reached when we practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go of the past. It is therefore the means for correcting our misperceptions. And that means your misperceptions of life. If you're dealing in life is sorrowful, woe is me, things are bad, I'll never recover, those are misperceptions because your life can be just as grand as anybody else's out there. It's how you're looking at things that has to be changed. And it can't be changed and let you. I realize letting go is very difficult, but you have to make a choice. You either hold on to the past and stay where you are or let the past go and say there's a new and improved and a better me out there. And as you mentioned earlier, it's redefining yourself, correct?
Right, absolutely. So you start putting those things in place that start changing your life. Surround yourself with positive people.
Absolutely.
Start reading positive things. Go out and get some books and read some positive things. Read 15 minutes every night before you go to bed. You know why you want to read before you go to bed? Because what happens is that's the last thought in your mind. Mm-hmm. The last thought that is a positive thing. So when you wake up, a positive thing will come into your mind. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you don't think about negative things before you go to sleep at night. You won't go to sleep. You'll stay up all night long worrying. But you want to keep that positive mindset in your mind so when you wake up, you are feeling a little bit good. You want to keep sunshine in your life. Get outside, get in the fresh air, get out, go to the beach. We are so fortunate here in Florida to have a beach. So go to the beach, get the sunshine on your face.
That's right.
Those little things that we sometimes take for granted because we live here are definitely good things for you. If you can't do it, get a light bulb and get in the light. They've often said hangover. You can actually get better with a hangover if you're in light versus in the dark. So there has to be something said for that.
And I know Cece, as a personal note, when I got divorced, and it was painful. I tell people that divorce was one of the main things, right up there with the number one hurts I've ever experienced. Only because of my love of having family, but not having the kids with me on a daily basis. And what really, I think, bridged the gap that I didn't know at the time was when those two little girls came over to see me, I had to act upbeat and happy for them, and so it really helped me see that there is a brighter day. They still look at me as dad. He's still he's still my father. And so it helped me. And so I think kids do help bridge the gap. I know they helped me bridge the gap of divorce, that I still felt that I had a responsibility and something to live for. Nothing. I lived for those girls, and so therefore it helped me pick myself back up.
Right. Well, you often tell me this, and this is something I'd like to share with the audience. You have a saying that you say all the time, that you're not going to let anyone steal
Don't
your
let anyone
joy.
steal my joy.
Yeah, and I think that is such a wonderful, wonderful statement. So when you're down and depressed, you're letting someone steal your joy.
Right.
You're letting someone take that.
Right.
And for me, what turned my life around is I decided, you know what, I wasn't going to let my divorce get the best of me. You know, I really wasn't. And we talked about this prior to the show.
Right.
Excuse me. We talked about, you know, many times, you know, when you're in a long-term relationship, you know, I was in 17 years. Some people, how long were you in? You were
13
like 13.
years.
I've have some friends that are in the 20s, you know, things like that. And when we were talking, several times it came up, well, you know, that was like the important years of my life. I gave my important years of my life away, you know, and now they're gone. And now where am I? You know, well, I don't know about you, but I'm planning on living a long time.
Right.
And so I am not going to give the rest of my important years away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what changed me. Someone said that to me one time, and I thought to myself, you know what? That is so right. You know what? I have many, many years ahead of me, and I'm going to live them to the best that I can. And I'm going to try to be fulfilled in the way that I choose.
Right.
So I wanted to share that with you because I hope that you will do the same. I hope that you will decide that today will be the day for you to begin your life so that you can live your life to the best that you want.
And when you were talking there right now, and it's funny how things happen because my mom, who's passed away now, going on 4 years, popped into my mind, and I remember her always saying to me, "Count your blessings." And really, that's what with 17 years of marriage, no matter how it ended, you had some blessings. You had children, you felt love, you grew, you experienced some things. And so the tail end may have not been the result that you wanted, but you have to start building upon. You did have blessings, you did have things that happened during those years that still were of value, that can't be changed or can't be taken away. And I think that's what we do. We tuck those blessings away. And I remember Mom always saying, "Count your blessings," and I understand what she means now. Counting those blessings makes you realize no matter how it ended, I did grow as a person and the worth things because I told people I got my daughters out of those years of marriage. They were good years. Them daughters came out of that marriage. You know,
absolutely. Well, you know, that brings to mind gratitude.
Yeah.
And gratitude, we have to be there's many, many things that we have gratitude for. And I've often said to keep a gratitude journal. You know, write down, you know,
Good
even if
point.
you have an organizer, let's say you have a daytimer that you keep your scheduling with, or you know, do something on the internet, you know, you keep your appointments every day, write down just one little thing of what you might be grateful for, you know, or at the end of the day before you go to sleep at night, what do you know, list a few things, maybe 3 things that you're grateful for that day that might have come, you know, one is that you know, that you're still alive and you made it through that day.
Right.
You know,
right.
you made it through one day, and you can, you know, go to bed and hopefully you'll make it through one more. And so I think, you know, that's very, very important, is to have gratitude for what we have. We take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah, we do.
We really do. And I think if we stop for a minute and just look around all the things that we have blessings for, and like your mom said, you know, I think that we would be at a different place in our minds.
Yeah.
You know, definitely.
Yeah, so it is. I think it's a great program that, like you said, to go back to the basics and talk about these things. Because we all deal with those daily strifes and struggles, and just remember how you're acting right now. Have you slipped back? Have you slipped back in your thinking? Have you slipped back in your disappointments? You know, get a foothold and move forward, because there's bright, beautiful things out there, and there's people waiting on you. There's people that like you, people that enjoy your company, and those are the things you look forward to. So life should always be something that you're looking forward to. That, you know, like people say, you know, when one door closes, God always opens another door. And that's the same way it is with life and relationships and things. There's another door waiting to be opened by you if you're willing to move forward toward it. So,
Well, you know, I was thinking a lot just recently about my divorce, and, you know, where I've come, and, you know, where I'm going. And the thing is that I have thought that, you know, where do I want to be? And while I was thinking about that, I thought, wow, what an awesome opportunity.
Right,
You
right.
know, because here I am, rather than thinking that here I'm after 17 years of marriage, my life is over.
Yeah,
You know, I can't, how am I gonna exist? How am I gonna pay the bills? How am I gonna, what am I gonna do? How, all those things that we all have every right to be upset about. And you
Right.
have a right to be hurt, upset. You have a right to cry. You have a right to do all of those things. But at the end of the day, you also have a right to make a decision to choose where you want to go. And when I started thinking about that in my life, I started thinking, you know what? I have an opportunity here. I have an opportunity to create a path for myself that maybe I never dreamt of doing. And today I am doing something this evening, doing something that I had never, ever thought I would ever do. Be on the radio. I never thought I would
right.
be, and I'm not, even though I think people that know me very closely know that I am not a real outgoing person, to be able to talk among a lot of people, but I can do it because I have a passion for it. And so what I ask for you tonight is think about what you have a passion for. We all have passions for different things.
Right.
I know you have,
Yeah.
certain passions. But if you start thinking about yourself versus the situation that you might be in, what will happen is a lot of answers will start to unfold for you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, because the world life is what you make of it. And I tell people, one thing I like, they say, well, you're getting older, and a lot of people say, well, I got more.
Let me see, are
living.
you?
Yeah, I know I look good, but
Okay, guys. He is, he is, he is.
You hear that statement, well, I have more living behind me than I have ahead of me, and
Oh,
all
I
those
do.
things.
I have a lot more living behind me too. But I thought that was just, my mother part of being taken
But
up for my mother.
one thing that I personally feel good of, and this is where you take hold to yourself. I tell people the reason I feel so good now is because I am totally responsible for how these next chapters of my life are going to be written. It's all up to me. I can write them good, I can write them bad, because I said I've experienced enough of life to know the pitfalls. I know how it goes. There aren't any more excuses that I can make. There are no more, well, I wish I'd have known better. I wish this, and I wish that, and if I'd have known. There aren't any of those. I've been through all of those, because I saw a saying one day that says, which is so true, experience is something you get right after you needed it. And I said, how true is that? Right after you need experience, that's when you get it. Like, oh, okay, that's how that goes. And so now I really look at life being, the glass being full for me, because I'm in charge now. I can make it be as happy and as joyous as I want to, and that to me, that's exciting, 'cause it took a lot of them steps. It took a lot of people out there going through. It took a lot of regret. I'm just like all of you. When I got divorced, I went through depression and everything else and had to pick myself up. So I'm like all of you out there. So I understand where you're at, but there is a brighter day if you choose to have it.
Right, absolutely. And as we're transitioning and we're doing various different things in our lives, we still will have setbacks.
Yeah,
We
right.
still, and I know you even have them yourself. You have a lot of self-doubt, comes into our lives, and a lot of different things like that. And it is very difficult, and that's okay, because that's all part of growing pains.
Yeah, it is, right.
If everything was so easy in life, it wouldn't be worth having. So we do want, I hate to say it, we do want some of those stepping stones, some of those hard struggles, some of those learning experiences to be able to move us forward in life. And partly that is because we want to have the gratitude in our life. We won't have gratitude if everything comes easy for us. So when we have gratitude, we know that we've gone somewhere. When we sit back and we look at our past a little bit, we start to begin to understand who we are and where we're going to be going. So it's okay to do that. It's okay to kind of look at your past a little bit like that.
Right.
What you can't do is just wallow in it, so to speak. You really can't. You got to get off the poor me and get on to how am I going to make my life different? What's going to happen for me to be able to do that?
And assess where you're at. There are signs we tend to ignore, that really is a good indication. And to me, I think that's the most important thing. Assess where you're at. Assess whether you're an angry person. And you can tell whether you're an angry person. Think about it. Do you get up easily upset in the store? Do you holler at your children? Is nothing ever right on your job? Well, those are symptoms that something else is going on with you, and you have to look at those things, I think,
Well, the other thing, too, that brings to mind is that when we point that blame finger, when we're out there saying, well, I'm at this position because of such and such did this to me. Someone, did this to me, did that to me.
Right.
The thing is instead of pointing that finger that such and such did that to us, we need to stop for a minute and say to ourselves, we played a part in that. We made the decision to be kind of where we're at. It wasn't something that we chose, but we're not going to accept staying here. But we did make the decision of doing that, and that was a hard thing for me in my divorce. Is that, I made the decision to get married. I made the decision to stay in the 17-year marriage. I made a lot of bad decisions, but now that I look at them, they're not bad. When I was going through my divorce, I kept thinking, oh, my God, how could I do such a stupid thing?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking all this stuff, all this horrible stuff about my ex and everything. And, okay, they are right. But the point I'm just kidding.
Throw that in.
They are right. But,
I understand.
and anybody listening out there that's gone through divorce are going to laugh because we all go through that.
Right.
But the thing is that I made the decision to stay. And I hurt for a long time. And the thing is I don't want to hurt anymore. So I'm making the decision to move forward in my life. And that's what I wanted to share with the audience tonight. I know that a lot of you're hearing things that might be personal. And the reason we share them with you is because we want you to know that you're not alone in your way of thinking. You're not alone in the way you're feeling. We have all been there. We've touched everything that you're touching now. And that may not make it feel any better for you, but to know that you're not alone and that you can surface is what we're trying to share with you tonight. That we have been there and we have surfaced. And so we're trying to give you a few things to be able to carry through. So I wanted to kind of recap what we've talked about before we go on our break tonight. So you can go get your glass of wine, as I always say, but maybe we should stick with Diet Coke tonight. But what we've talked about so far is really being where you're at and acknowledging where you're at. You are where you are.
And don't waste time with regret.
Right. Don't waste time with regrets. Stop with the regret. Stop with the denial.
And the blame.
And the blame, the denial. Stop with all of that. Say, okay, I am where I am. It is what it is. And then you want to move forward.
And see, before we go and break one point, and most men probably, I think, can address this. And since my divorce and in dating, one of the hardest questions that I was asked the most was, so tell me, why did you get divorced? And when you're trying to date, and that question would come up and come up and come up. And I'm like everybody else, I fumbled at it. But what I really, and this has been my answer forward for a long time, I look them in the eye and I say, I got divorced because I feel I didn't fulfill my total responsibilities. That's what I tell them. And the reason I do that is because I'm accepting partial blame in the divorce, that it was a twofold thing that had happened, and it lets it go. But at least I feel I'm accepting responsibility, that I was responsible for the divorce just as much as anybody else.
I think it's a very good point, because we do have to take responsibility.
Yeah, we
do have to know that part of the the situation of where we're at, we did create, and I think that's definitely good.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is let's take a break, and when we come back, what we're going to do is we're going to move forward now, and we're going to talk. We talked about where you're at and how we got there.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about when we come back. We're going to talk about ways in which to move you forward.
Right.
So this is Cece with Going Solo,
and
Life
EZE.
After Divorce, and this is
EZE,
and we're going to be right back.
Alrighty.
The West Central coast of Florida has an amazing music scene. Festivals, clubs, special performances, and there's always a lot of live music. The problem has always been getting the word out about events. Then GoTonight.com emerged on the scene. The brainstorm creation of founder Don McKeon, a Sarasota entrepreneur. We caught up with Don and his inspirational friend, Frank Papa, at the Flying Dog Cafe.
This is Frank. I'm Don. Frank is the reason that there is a GoTonight.com. He would call me repeatedly.
Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Where will we go tonight?
The website has been a boon to many small clubs. So next time you find yourself asking, where will we go tonight? You've got the answer.
Wow, that's loud, man. Well, welcome back. This is Cece with Going Solo, Life After Divorce, and I have with me
EZE.
Right, and our call-in number, if you want to give us a call, is 813-235-0644, and we are on TalkWad Network, which is on www.liveandloveradio.com, and we do thank them so much for being there for us. Tonight, we're actually giving the show a dedication show and an honorable show to My Friends Connect Divorce Support Group, a great group out there which is in the Tampa Bay area, and we are looking to expand it into a nationwide group because we do know there's so many other people out there that are hurting. So this is something that I think the guys and gals within My Friends Connect are looking to possibly do. But tonight we're going to honor them because they have honored us by helping us move through our relationships, relationship loss, and helping us move through. So that's what we've been talking about. The first part of the show, we talked about, accepting ourselves where we are, accept, the denial, stop the blame, get into some sunlight, daylight, really don't waste any more time with regrets. And that's what we talked about the first part of the show. So now what we're going to do is move you through. I'm going to let EZE kind of share some things with us about moving through because he definitely has. I mean, he's gone through his life and he's really turned it around.
Picked up some things along the way and learned some things. And you are right, Cece. The first step is stop burning your daylight because other people's lives are moving on and you could stay stuck if you want to or you can move on. And how do you do that? You're in indulgence, whether through, as I mentioned, through divorce, being a widow or whatever your situation is, failed relationship, and you want to move forward. And one of the things that I just recently came into but think it addresses the need. Number one, I think you need to reinvent yourself by assuming and finding ways to be around more positive people. Reinvent your circle, even if you have to reinvent your circle of friends. And you say, well, how do I find new people? How do I find positive people? And I have to really commend that I did not initially, when I came here to Florida, recognize the value of all the various meetup groups out there. People who are in all walks of life, all different positions of life, but they're getting together, sharing time with one another, whether it be sipping wine, watching sunset, walks to the market. There's a group of people and there's a meetup group, and nobody asks you questions. Nobody asks for qualifications. Nobody asks how do you make a living or anything else. They get together and enjoy themselves. And I think people who are going through, I think a meetup group and finding something that you can identify with, I think is an excellent tool to begin getting off the snide, I think.
Right, absolutely. Well, you have to not only define yourself, but you have to start defining your relationships. And so you have to start putting, I guess maybe making compartments for different things, like, for instance, your social life. And I think, the meetup groups are really great for that.
Right.
You can go on a meetup group and anything you're interested in. It just doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
It can be knitting a blanket. It can be, going on a, kayaking or whatever that's called, that boating thing.
Yeah.
It could be, going for walks. Going for walks. It could be playing games, whatever it is you like to do. There's tons of meetups out there, and whatever your particular area is. So I know that people do listen to us in other states. So it's whatever your particular area is. So you want to start redefining yourself. So making connections like that to start beginning a social life is very, very important because we need people in our lives. We are human beings, and there's certain needs that we have, and we do do, and fulfilling those and creating joy in our lives is we do have to have some sort of social life that we can enjoy.
Yeah.
And so doing that, I think, is a first step. The next step is start redefining your relationships with regards to maybe your ex or your children, your your parents, anyone that's an important figure in your life or is going to be a standing important figure in your life. You have to start redefining that type of situation for you. The best you can do that, the quicker you can do it, the best you can do that, the better it will be for you. If you're in a toxic relationship, if you've come out of a toxic relationship, your divorce is going to be toxic, and thereafter it's going to still remain toxic for a while, because toxic relationships, they get a hold and they do not let go. So they're going to keep on doing that for a while, and eventually it will drift away when they find another victim in which to be toxic to. So if you find yourself into that, if you're saying to yourself, well, I can't get away from her or him because they just won't let me go, that it is what it is, and you got to start redefining that. So which that means is you don't have phone conversations with them. You go on email. You can't talk to these type of people.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
you do everything through email, and you want to do that for a couple different reasons. One is you get it in writing as to what's happening. And the other thing is that it gives you a time in which to get your thoughts together to put it on paper, and you can write it, rewrite it, or whatever before you send it. My suggestion is if you are in a toxic relationship, you get a situation or an email, don't respond immediately. Usually you don't have to. It's not that important that it can wait overnight, and then you feel fresher the next day, and your emotions aren't so intact with it. So you have to start defining those type of relationships.
Right, and in all fairness, in a lot of situations, I talk to a lot of people, and men are really, in all fairness, we do this in that we have a toxic relationship and we end, but we're still there. We're still running the woman through a lot of frustrations, and I've heard people say it's not that he wants you. It's just that he doesn't want to let you go for fear someone else will have you, and he realizes the mistake that he made. And so that's why he's there, and that's why a lot of women will take their phone calls and let them back in and go and resuffer all that frustration. You have to put a stop to things. You have to say, I don't want this anymore. I don't want my life to be like this. This is over, and you've got to get that person to move on. There is no amenable ground, at least initially. You can come back together, but initially sometimes you have to say, I've got to get myself together, and it has to happen without you. And we can maybe try to work something in the future, but you can't do it together. You really can't. What do you think about that? You really
absolutely.
Can't do it together.
No, if you've moved away from a toxic relationship, if you've gotten, a relationship lost because of that, there's no coming together with it. And it hurts because you mentally in your heart, trying to separate your heart from your mind is just probably one of the hardest things you're going to do in a relationship loss like this, because one minute, in a toxic relation, they can be very nice to you. The next minute, bam, they hit you again. So the thing is if you've made a decision that this is going to be the end, then let it be the end, and start putting your energies on redefining yourself,
and fill the space, right? And you got to fill that space,
yourself. So if the hold you have, let's say for instance, as an example, and if the hold they have on you is financial, then you've got to stop and say to yourself, okay, what am I going to do to release this? That I don't necessarily need the money that's being provided for me, because that's the hold, that's a noose around your neck. So what you have to do is start looking at your life, you're looking at your career, looking at things that you want to do to change yourself. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you're going to have to allow yourself some time, some space, some energy in which to really put some thought process in. But you can develop a new life for yourself, one that can create, financial means for you to be able to be self-sufficient. The thing is, we have to change our mindset. You can't, a lot of people that I've talked to, a lot of individuals I talked to have come out of a wonderful lifestyle. A gorgeous lifestyle where there was traveling and a beautiful home and cars and all this kind of stuff. Now that they're divorced, it's really they have nothing. And changing their mindset to where they have absolutely nothing in their minds, they have nothing. That takes some time and energy to be able to get your hands around, to understand that those are truly material things. And once we can understand that those material things come and go within a lifetime, and the reality is, our health and things that are much more important is where we need to put our focus on, you know.
And then in the reinventing yourself, I think what a lot of people do is they don't recognize the importance. If this is ending, I immediately must fill that space with something that's going to make me feel better. So yes, if it's ending, then force yourself to join a gym and say, I'm going to force myself. If you don't have kids, I'm going to force myself to go work out from 7 to 8:30. I'm going to take this class and fill that void with something that's positive for yourself, and then you're not there just waiting for them to call you on the phone or whatever else. It takes a while, but you'd be surprised how much better you feel once you get out there and do something. I don't care whether it's joining a reading group or whatever it is that floats your boat. Fill that void with something that's positive. That's the first step to saying, I'm filling this time with something that's more meaningful to me.
Absolutely. A lot of times we worry with regards to our financial situation.
Yeah.
And the thing is we can control some of our financial situation. We don't think that we can because we're having to live on a lot less than what we ever imagined that we would do. But the thing is we can go out and there are classes out there that you can take, that are very inexpensive or no cost at all. And you can start filling up your mind with, this education and things like that. And it might very well trigger something. So it gives you a venue in which to be able to take yourself. I know that there are a lot of coaches out there nowadays. I wanted to mention that. And I think a lot of women, and I've seen this now lately, it seems like a lot of women in their latter part of the years that have gotten divorced and not knowing where to go, and I'm a pure example of it, they take coaching classes and things like that, and it really spins them off into a different direction of helping people, helping others, doing different things. And there's all kinds of various different things that you can do with kids or, animals or, all kinds of different things that you can do. So the thing is if we can get our heads out of the toilet long enough, and I hate to use that phrase, but if we can rise above and start really looking at the momentum of doing things that are positive, what happens is once you start doing one or two things, it starts creating a snowball effect for you. And next thing you know, you are bringing that joy back into your life.
Because it's creating the self-worth that you were missing. Because no matter what your situation was, there still is self-worth in you. Somebody can still learn from you. Somebody can still appreciate your smile. Somebody will still listen to what you have to say. You yourself have to begin recognizing the self-worth that you have. And once you do some of these things and begin to feel better about yourself, you'll notice other people are listening and smiling and give me your number and let me call you on the phone. You want to get together and do such and such, and your world begins to grow,
Right. And then the other thing is to surround yourself with people that you actually do trust. For instance, if you have a therapist that you trust, if you have an attorney, if you're going through the stages of divorce, if you don't trust your attorney, get one that you do trust. There are lots of attorneys out there. Find someone that that's watching out for you, that can has your needs in mind. And there are great attorneys out there. So, they're not all just about money. I mean, a lot of them are. Don't get me wrong. A lot of them are just about money, just about, they fall and they get into this mindset and they're just, doing whatever, pushing paper or whatever. But there are some out there that are caring, and you just got to find the right one for you. But surround yourself with people that you feel that are there for you, that are genuine, and that you are actually giving something back to them. It's not just all take, that you are actually giving back to others. And I think that also helps you to be able to move forward.
Yeah. And if you do have religious beliefs, and you say, well, I don't really go to church or things like that. Well, maybe that's a place to start out with. Maybe that's a place to just start going back to church because you are around positive people. You get people that'll smile at you, say good morning to you. Spend some time like that. It doesn't hurt, but it begins giving you the impression that I am moving forward, I am doing some things different. And who knows, you might run across somebody there in church that says, we're having a women's program next Sunday. Why don't you come meet us? There's all types of things. The hard thing is, like a lot of things, like they said, the hard thing often, and it very is to get started. I want to write a book. The hardest thing is to sit down and write paragraph 1, and that's the same way it is to change your life and to reinvent yourself. You have to be able to find a starting place.
Right. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, as I was thinking about what you were saying there, EZE, is that you want to step out of your box a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to explore new things and do things that you never thought that you would do. For instance, like part of the meetup groups, they have all these different adventures and different things that you had thought about maybe at one time just briefly, and then you want to do it. We have a lot of people within the divorce support group that have now, touched on the arts, something that they had thought about at one time in their life, but they never really expressed it. And I know we had Harvey on Affairs of Your Heart
yesterday.
Yeah, we have the show Affairs of Your Heart, which is on Tuesday nights at 7:00, and he's from the group, and he has moved through, and I think he's actually living his best life. He seems to be very, very happy now, but he's really touched on his artistic abilities. And I know that we have some other people within the group that are doing the same thing. Claire is doing that and stuff. And just wonderful, wonderful individuals who are doing things outside of what they would have never dreamt that they would do, and something they had kind of thought about doing. So, explore those possibilities that are within yourself of what you want to do. We have some people that have given to charities, that have given their time.
Yeah, and volunteering.
Right, volunteer.
Right.
And they have the time available to them. They're not sure what to do, but they find if they sit home, they just become lonely. And, and it creates self-worth. When you start giving to other people and doing things, it inflates your self-worth.
Yeah,
you start feeling that you are starting to become into your own again, One thing I remember my father saying to me after a while after my divorce, he said, "Gosh, Cece, you're like you were when you were in high school, and like where was she, all those years? Where did she go? But now, I goof around a lot more, and I'm silly a lot more, and my kids think I'm silly because I'm dancing and I'm doing all kinds of weird things and stuff like that. But I'm having a lot more fun.
Right.
I'm coming into my own." And that's what we want for you. We want you to come into your own, find your own, express your own.
Yeah. I know I was talking to some people at one of the meetup groups, and they had went camping. And if you heard the excitement of these people, because some were saying, I hated it. And the ground was so hard. And I'm like, well, you didn't take an air mattress? And no. But the excitement was, they said, I went and did it. And that's what I picked up. They were excited. I may never do it again, but I challenged myself to go do it. And I didn't like it, and the ground was hard, but I did it. You know what I mean? And that's just like zip lining, I'm like, oh, I could never zip line across. No, but those who do it said, I did it. And that's really a microcosm of what we're trying to get people to see. Just being able to say I did it is one of those steps that you take.
Yeah, most certainly. And that's definitely what I think that we definitely need to do is we need to really start looking into our lives and trying to decide on what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. And it just as an element of an exercise in which to do. My mother, and anybody that's ever heard me, is I've often said I get a piece of paper, I draw the line down the middle, and I write down, the positive things of what I want to accomplish, and then maybe some of the negative things of it. And then, the positive usually always outweighs, should I or shouldn't I? And so, I do those kind of things, and that's what always seems to help me. So that's an exercise I always tell everyone. If you don't know what to do, then draw that line or write it down, make a list for yourself, and then just check it off. Sometimes just, telling yourself that you have to do certain things during the day also helps you to be able to move forward, definitely to move forward.
Yeah, identifying your passion. And you often hear people say that, I am so blessed because I get to work at my passion. And that's really it is, find out what it is that excites you and move toward it. You don't have to be great at it, just the idea that you're moving towards your passion. I think what it psychologically does to you is it makes you feel like I'm being the person I was intended to be all along. And I think that's and other people sense that in you. You smile and you have more confidence when you're really out there, striving to be the person you were intended to be.
Right. And it will create, you'll just be energized.
Right.
You'll begin to be energized with something. If you really find that you love doing it, then just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. And if you find that you haven't found that yet, that's okay.
Yeah.
You'll find it along the way. The thing is you don't want to give up looking for it. And the more you do and the more you endeavor, the more you will be able to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah,
So
you mentioned like Harvey yesterday, and what I took out of that, and I really, when I was driving home, I was appreciative that I recognized what the dynamics was, because after the show, he had mentioned he makes these really beautiful cigar boxes and artwork and stuff, and we're outside, and he says, "Well, let me go show you," and he came over and he showed it and he described it, and what was so nice was the pride he had in his work. That's priceless when you could see somebody be so prideful about something they did. You say that's worth its weight in gold, that here he is throughout all the relationships and everything that he's gone through. Here's a man that has found pride in something that he does. And I think that's what you don't find it on the TV, you don't find it with the remote, you find it doing something that you're passionate about, or doing something that makes you feel good about yourself.
Right. It's something that comes from within.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we lose that, as we're going through the devastation of divorce.
Yeah.
We lose
Right.
we lose being in tune with our own self. We've let the heartache and the hurt and all of that overcome us so much that we forget how to tap back into us. And so that's what we want to be able to share with you tonight, is to be able to give you the encouragement that tapping into your own being is what it's really all about. It's not, although we share with you the stories that we've experienced, things that I've experienced, you have to experience them for yourself. You have to be able to get through the trenches of it. You have to be able to move through it, and the biggest thing is you have to want to do it. You have to believe that you can do it, and once you want and believe it, it will happen. It will come for you. The rest of it is just those baby steps that Andrea always says. You just take those baby steps.
Yeah. And another thing I think that will help you bridge the gap is, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is the things I want to be passionate about. You really do have to sit down and make a plan. Plan your attack. Plan how you're going to get there. You can't. It's well and good that you have it in your mind, but when you can visualize it on a piece of paper and say, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to research this." That's how successful people make it. They develop a plan and they go after it. I'm filling up this time. I'm going to call the gym tomorrow. I'm going to find out what the price of their membership is. I'm going to see if I can afford it. And if I do, I'm going to start out going to the gym 3 times a week at 5 o'clock or at 7 o'clock. You make a plan that you're going to not, I'll go when I feel like it. Well, feel like it may never come.
Right. Well, even if you, let's say you need encouragement, for that. Well, okay, I'm going to find a friend. I'm going to say,
Right.
okay, will you encourage me to go when I say I won't go? And, things like that.
Yeah.
The thing is it's not your path is not, your path is, number one, it's original. It's your own. And there's no other journey that's like yours, and the thing is that your journey is, your story's not written, your journey's not ended, so it can move this way and that way, and whatever plan, like EZE said, whatever plan you put in place today, you can tweak it.
Right,
You can
right.
tweak that plan, and you can add to it, you can take away from it. The biggest thing is that you've got a plan, and you've got something you're heading for, and that you're doing something that's yours, and you can claim, and you can say, I'm going to go ahead and go forward with this. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And like you said, and I also think it's important, support. Go get some support. Find a girlfriend that wants to do it with you. Just find support, develop a support squad, if you will, people that are willing to do some of these things with you, and that it'll help you move forward. Those are the like we talk about the things that you have to recognize you have to do, because it's very hard. I know with me, when I got divorced, I could stay locked away in that room, but wasn't nothing happening until I found a way to change my life and help people to change it. And I got out there and found somebody that I could laugh with. Wasn't happening sitting up in the house by myself dwelling on things.
Absolutely. And not just girlfriends. For instance, like you were saying, for me, girlfriends, but I have a lot of guy friends. And, when there's several times in my life I've needed advice on something, I've called them. I've called them about, okay, look, I'm thinking about doing this financially. What do you think?
Right.
Because I've never had to make big decisions in my life like that. And so that I'm very overwhelmed about it. I'm overwhelmed about, looking for another place to live. Is this the right place to live?
Yeah.
Is it that? So what I do? I go to people that I trust, and I share it with them, and I say, what do you think?
Right. There you go.
And I get their opinion. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm making the decision. Because if it's a wrong decision, I made it. If it's a right decision, yoo-hoo, I made it.
Right. That's right. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely
so,
right.
So, I'm learning like that, and I'm learning that, you know what? Nothing's written in stone, and I can change it.
Yeah.
I can make a decision and change it.
Yeah.
So it's your life is really up to you, and that's what we wanted to share with you tonight. It's not something that you have to travel alone, because we're all here for you. I mean, going solo, life after divorce, that's what it's all about. We're here to help you with the journey. There's been many, many guests on the show that you can listen to, and you can listen to over and over again, because sometimes you're not at the right place when you're there. And we want to share all of those things for you, so that you can get all the information in which to go and listen to.
Yeah. And the final thing I want to say is, it's okay that you're not going to do it perfect. It's okay that you're going to make a mistake. It's okay that it doesn't go. As someone explained to me, the greatest of all athletes never run a touchdown every time they touch the ball. Even LeBron James misses some shots. The greatest baseball player strikes out. We can't do it perfect. So your mistakes are no better than their mistakes. You can make a mistake and say, that's okay because I've been more right than I've been wrong. And that's what don't beat yourself up on making a wrong decision. That's just the way it goes. You can't expect perfection.
Well, that's learning.
It's learning, right?
And that's part of the journey. We
is.
have to learn. And, maybe some of the things that we've gone through is really a learning experience, and it's going to project us into something further. So I wanted to share with you where you can listen to a lot of the Going Solo shows, Going Solo Life After Divorce. We have our own site now, which is called Going Solo Radio, and you just go on there and it'll have all of the past shows that have been on liveandloveradio.com. They're all on there for you. Also, they're on iTunes. I was with another station at one time, and they're all put on iTunes, and it's like 50-some shows. And when I was really in the trenches of some of my divorce, so you can go on iTunes, and Going Solo Life After Divorce is on there too. Google my name or something like that, so you can find them there. Now, if you want to if you're looking to start dating and you want to move into the transition of dating and things like that, you're going to have some shows here on Going Solo about that. But we also are talking a great deal about relationship building and dating on Affairs of Your Heart, and that you can find right here on liveandloveradio.com, and that is on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, and that's Affairs of Your Heart. If you feel that you need some social bonding and some things like that, we have, of course, My Friends Connect, which is a company, and within the company we have on meetup.com, we have My Friends Connect Divorce Support Social Group, which is the dedication that we've made tonight on this show. Wonderful, wonderful human beings at all phases of their life, moving through to living their best life and helping each other along the way. And they're absolutely wonderful, marvelous people. And we meet the first Friday of every month at Champs, which is an international mall. You're welcome to join us at 6:30, and we meet there. Also, we have a Transition into Dating and Relationships, which is on meetup.com, which is My Friends Connect also. And then we also have an over 40s singles group. So you're welcome to join that. We do some events and things like that. Now, EZE and I are going to be really kicking off doing some things here coming up, aren't we?
And just stay tuned to our shows. Like I said, as you mentioned, or if you want to email us, feel free to email us at eze.affairs@gmail.com or cccece.affairs@gmail.com. And, we'll answer your emails and stay in touch with us that way. So it's been a pleasure talking to you tonight, and we look forward to you tuning in to Going Solo Life After Divorce next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at 7:30. So it's been a joy to have you here with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye now.